Shalom, shalom. So I just wanted to say real quick that I had to go out of state. And as I was packing, I started thinking about Exodus 40, verses 33 to 38. And that's where the cloud was upon the tabernacle of the assembly, where the Israelites were to meet with Yahuwah. And it specifically said, I want to say in verses 36 to 37, if the cloud remained upon the tabernacle, which is where Yahuwah's glory was, then the Israelites were supposed to remain where they were. But if the cloud lifted, they were supposed to leave and go wherever the cloud went. The cloud represents Yahushua HaMashiach, who is the bridegroom. And so if you go back and you read, you'll see that the Israelites were led through the wilderness, and they had a cloud that led them by day and a pillar of fire that protected them by night, and it lighted their way. That cloud and that fire was Yahusha. So basically what Exodus 40, 33 to 38 is saying is, as long as Yahusha remains in a spot, you're supposed to remain in a spot. But as soon as Yahusha moves, you move. We're supposed to follow our bridegroom as his bride. We go where our bridegroom goes, right? And I was thinking about how I was making sure I had all this over here, making sure I had the things that my son needed, making sure I, carefully packed everything, packing it in such a way that I can get more things into, the space that I had. So I was carefully packing. I wasn't just throwing stuff in any old kind of way. And I was thinking about, the Israelites, and how when that cloud would move, they had to break down their tents. They had to get their animals together, load their animals, round up their children, make sure their children were prepared for this journey they were going on, so on and so forth. And the revelation I came to was that Yahusha has moved. It's time for me to move as well. I'm his bride. And I never want to make it seem like I automatically think perfect, because Yahuwah told us to be angry and sin not. So that means that sometimes your emotion, you're going to feel that initial emotion, but you don't act on it. What you do is you hand it over to him if it's not righteous. And I was a little irritated initially, because I see way more than I say, and I know that's hard to believe because I talk a lot. So I was a little irritated, but I handed it over to Yahuwah, and I understand that as a daughter of Yahuwah, Yahuwah is my protector, my provider. His son is my leader. His Ruach is my comforter, my helper, my teacher. And so, just like what Yusuf said to his brothers, what the enemy meant for evil, Yahuwah has turned it around for my good. And that's just what I want to say to everyone who calls on the name of Yahuwah, walks after Yahusha. There's no need for the anger. There's no need for the slander. There's no need to call people out when you feel done wrong. There's no need to retaliate. There's no need to even feel hurt. Because remember, as a child of Yahuwah, you are the salt and the light of the earth. That's what Yahusha said. So if Yahuwah is removing you from an area, it's not because he's punishing you. It's because he's moving you. And again, as I was packing this morning, well, I had already packed last night, but I was repacking this morning because I had to take some things out so I could take a shower, brush my teeth and whatnot. And so Manasseh could, I can do his hair and all this other stuff. And I had to repack that stuff. And as I'm doing it, that's when I started thinking about, this is what, because when I go out of town, I pack a lot. I pack way too much, I feel like. But I was just thinking to myself, this must have been what it was like. And there's a level of peace, a level of shalom that comes with that, because you got to understand that there's nothing and no one in this world that loves you or will take care of you the way Yahuwah does. And so with that being said, I just want to remind you that if you are in a place right now where it seems like one thing after another is falling to the ground, instead of feeling like it's an attack of the enemy, ask Yahuwah if this is him preparing you to move. If it's him preparing you to go somewhere else. Because we're supposed to be his servants. My set apart name is Abad Yahu. Roughly on the surface, that means servant of Yahuwah. Now, it means something way deeper in the ancient Hebrew. Not going to get into that, but servant of Yahuwah. As a servant of Yahuwah, we are supposed to go where he says and leave when he says. We go where Yahusha leads us. We leave when Yahuwah says. So, if that is the life that you've chosen, if you're not a son or a daughter of Yahuwah spiritually, then obviously this doesn't apply to you. Go on with your day. But for those of us that do know Yahuwah is our Father, Yahusha is our kinsman redeemer, our king, our bridegroom, Ruach HaKodesh is our helper, teacher, comforter, understand that it's not an attack on your behalf. It's not an attack on you. Yahuwah just has to sever things. Just like if you were out camping in the woods and you were to get ready to go home, you would have to start pulling the stakes that secured your tent into the ground. You'd have to start pulling those stakes up. And you would have to start bringing down those poles that made the skeleton of the tent and taking the material off of those poles and folding it, condensing the poles, putting them back in whatever container you got them out of, putting the stakes back. Like, basically that's what it is. The stakes are being pulled up out of the ground so that you're no longer tethered to that area and you can go to the next area. And then Yahuwah will secure you in that next area because we're serving him and we have cloven feet. We're sure-footed as clean animals, as sheep, as part of his flock. Yeah. So hallelujah. Shalom.